And the crazy thing is the jobs don't even pay 3 times the rent. So why is the apartments requiring me to make 3 times the rent? As long as the rent get paid, that should be all that matters.
Something that I've wanted to talk about on my TikTok page, why is rent so expensive nowadays? As somebody that's going to be 26 later this month, I've been looking at a ton of places in order to rent to eventually move out of my parents' house soon. And rent easily alone for a 2-bedroom apartment is easily over $2,000. And this is coming from somebody that lives in New York City. $2,000 is at least the standard. We're talking about $2+ grand, $2,500, even $3,000+ per month. And when we talk about rent like 20 years ago, I know it was still expensive to those standards back then, but even then, it's crazy how expensive life really is at the moment. And this is coming from someone that's still technically a student at the moment. I'm still in the final year of getting my master's degree, and I'm close to getting the job that I want to, but at the moment, it's really, really expensive to move out, and landlords still are raising their prices for rent. Why? I have no idea. That's just something that's been on my mind, and I wanted to talk about on a TikTok video.
Let's talk about why rent prices are so high and why exactly this is happening. So first of all, a lot of the big corporations, the biggest one to date is actually BlackRock, and they've been buying up a lot of these single home families with the intention of renting them out to make a profit. Now, because a lot of the new homes that are coming to market, a lot of investors are the ones purchasing them, and that is going to help drive the prices of these homes up, which makes it very unaffordable for a lot of American people. And it's these corporations that really are driving these prices up. Not only are we in a housing crisis, there's just not enough new homes being built, but a lot of people see this as an investment opportunity. They're piling money in and they're scooping it up before normal people can buy these homes. When these corporations have a big monopoly on the housing market, they're able to charge rent at very high prices, and that's what we've really been seeing in the housing market. Let me know down below, and also take a look at the rest of these clips.
BlackRock and other wealth managers suddenly stop buying single-family homes tomorrow. Does that fix the housing crisis? This is a comment I get all the time when bringing up the topic of the housing crisis. So the comment spoke to me, and I want to address those calls. So would stopping wealth managers from buying single-family homes actually fix the housing problems we have in America or not? I did extensive research on this, and this is one of those topics that's going to take more than one video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the reasons why it would help, and if you want me to do one as to why it wouldn't help, let me know in the comments. The first reason why this would actually help, and it's probably the most obvious reason, is because when new houses are built or a new house comes on the market, investors flock to buy that house up with intention of renting it out so that they can cash flow the property. If they were limited with how many properties they could actually buy, that would drive the house prices down and also normalize and stabilize the rental market as well. So more houses for sale and cheaper rent prices. The next reason why this would work is this would eliminate the powers that wealth managers have in bulk purchasing. A lot of times what wealth managers will do is they'll come in and they'll buy up whole neighborhoods or whole subdivisions, and then they'll turn around and either flip those houses at a higher premium or they will turn them into rentals. And essentially what that does is it prices people out of the neighborhood. So if they were limited with how many houses they could buy, this would completely eliminate bulk pricing and would help local neighborhoods stabilize communities and ultimately make housing and rent more affordable. And then there's the impact that wealth managers have on the rental market. Think about it like this. If a wealth manager comes in and they buy single family homes, or they buy entire neighborhoods or subdivisions, and then they turn around and they rent those properties out, they're the ones that get to dictate what the rental prices are. So if it's a community where rent prices are pretty normal, and then you have a wealth fund manager come in and basically buy all these houses and then jack the rent prices up, that has a direct impact on everybody in the market. So if you capped how many houses they could buy, that would also lower rent prices locally and even nationally. And lastly is it reduces the pricing floor that are set by investors. So when investors come in and buy a home, it's not emotional. It's based on algorithms and data. And they're trying to figure out how much money can I cash flow or how much money can I get out of this house. If you cap how many houses they can buy, that drastically reduces the pricing floor, meaning that that house is probably going to go cheaper because we're not using algorithms. We're not using data points. We're simply saying, what is this house worth to the average American? That was 4 pros of what would happen if we capped how many houses wealth fund managers can buy. If you want cons, let me know in the comments.
Something I just thought about, if you somebody that's grown, like you in your 20s, whether it's early 20s or maybe mid 20s or whatever, if you grown and you live at home with your people, something I just thought about is don't let nobody make you feel bad just because you live at home with your parents or a family member or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because like, not everybody got the bread to move out. And it also depends on where you live at too. Like, you know, certain states, like places on the East Coast or some places in the South, the rent be high as hell, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you trying to get a 1-bedroom, you living by yourself, or a studio apartment, the rent could be real high. It could be real expensive. So if you ain't got the bread to move out right now, don't feel bad just because you live at home with your parents, because that's something you probably got to do for right now until you get the bread to move out and get your own shit. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, if you got parents or, you know, family members in general that don't mind you staying with them, and, you know, they not asking you for a lot in rent, maybe like a couple $100s here and there, you good, like you straight, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got to move out if you don't want to move out. If you got the type of people that let you stay for as long as you need to, you good. You ain't got to move out. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be in a rush. Now, I'm not saying that you should want to live at home with your parents until you like, you know, 30 something or some shit like that. Like, nah, you know, I'm not saying that, but, you know, stay with your people for as long as you got to. You know what I'm saying? Just because you ain't got your own shit right now, don't feel like you a failure or there's something wrong with you or something like that. Like, nah, that's just something you got to do for right now until you can get your own shit. That's basically what that means.
And it's to the landlords out there. Y'all have tenants that's been consistent with y'all for years and years renting y'all property. Y'all raise the rent because of the economy so y'all can be able to pay y'all taxes and mortgages. The tenant can no longer afford the rent, so they move out. You list the property and nobody can afford the rent that you're listing. So the property goes months and months and months without being occupied. And now you're losing double than what you could have been making, leaving that tenant at that price. With this economy, these landlords got to understand, like, they got to break even somehow. Because if nobody's going to rent these properties for what they asking for. And then if you list it to sell the property, you're going to be losing out on that, how the housing market is. Because you're going to be forced to sell your house for less than what it's worth because everybody then threw their house on the market. So you losing, it's a lose-lose regardless of what you do.
So rents rose again in New York City in October. And this is going to be the main issue over the next 4 years that the new mayor is going to be judged on. The median rent went up to $4,600 a month in Manhattan. It's going to be interesting. Mondami has talked about building 200,000 new affordable units. Will he be able to do it? A lot of things are in play here. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm interested to see what happens.
My rent is going up almost $300 a month, okay? I'm confused. I'm lost, dumbfounded. Everywhere in my city, everybody going up in apartments, okay? These are just 1 bedrooms. I pay $1,100 a month for 1 bedroom right now. If I resign my lease, it'd be $1,300, okay? Not including maintenance fees, not including all the utilities and all that stuff. But it's all said and done, I'll be spending $1,600, $1,700 to live there, okay? When it's all said and done. My thing is, what do these landlords think we're making out here? Okay? Everybody not making all that kind of money like this. I'm a truck driver. As you can see, I'm in a truck right now. Truck drivers don't get raises, okay? They don't get raises. I barely made enough to make 3 times the rent already. But now it's just going up. I don't know what's going to happen. I make $4 grand a month. I don't know. Well, I make that, but after taxes and all that, you know how that goes. It's about 36, something like that. I won't be able to afford that place anymore where I live at right now. So I got to move. I'm probably considering living in my truck, maybe. Might get a hotel rooms on weekends. If I get hotels on weekends, I spend $580 a month just for Saturdays and Sundays. That saved me a lot of money, over $1,000 a month, just doing that. Cause I'm gone most of the time anyway. But my big concern is I don't know where these landlords, how they think we out here making all this money to raise the rent that high. We got layoffs going on, and the federal workers are getting laid off, and it just, things gotta change. You know, I just I refuse to pay that much for one bedroom. So I'm not doing that. I've been looking around my city. A lot of folks moving in the city, so I guess, you know, supply and demand is what raised the prices up. But I've been in my city my whole life, and they trying to push us out. I'd rather be straightforward and say that we're gonna push everyone that's a native of this city, who's born and raised here. We're gonna push y'all out and want everybody to come in here and say raise prices. I'd rather be straightforward and just say that, okay, than just raising prices and we just all confused. All right. I mean, it's just crazy to me. But I probably might live in my truck, get hotel rooms on the weekends, save a lot of money that way. Cause this year I'm trying to save 20 grand, and a lot of folks can't save 1 grand because they got all the bills, and like I said, rent prices are going up and food prices going up, clothes, everything's going up in America right now. Okay, there's no relief anywhere. It seems like, and I don't think it'll be a relief anytime soon. So I gotta be prepared, trying to save some money up, cause money is king, and I gotta make it happen. What you gotta think about this? This is getting insane. I mean, something gotta give. It really do.
I would have to disagree that $2,100 a month is damn cheap. And a lot of people have commented this, but it's just not true. So I'm going to explain why. The national average salary in the United States right now is $59,000, and $59,000 after taxes, your take home every month is about $3,800. So if you are a household or a single person living off of that one salary, that rent right there is more than half of what you're making. And that's just the average. So of course there's going to be people that are well below the average who cannot even afford a $2,100 rent that you guys are saying is cheap. Now, I'm not ungrateful at all. I'm blessed that we are able to afford this $2,100 of rent, which we got at this rate because we moved during COVID, during the height in 2020. We moved there in 2020 during the height of COVID, and they were having a really good deal because they were desperate to get people in. Now, unfortunately, that rent is about $3,000. But why are we normalizing? Why are we normalizing $2,100 a month of rent as being cheap when the majority of people in the United States don't even make enough to afford this type of rent? So many people have roommates. So many people who are families and have multiple children are living in an apartment instead of living in a house, which is what we are saving for. We're never going to own this apartment. We're all just throwing our money away, renting instead of buying. We have no buying power right now as millennials and as Gen Zers. Why aren't we able to afford to buy things like the generations before us did? How come we're the ones that are screwed? I was born and raised in California. It's not going to be possible for me to buy a home here because the average price of houses here, and these are old houses, like 1950s houses, is about $700,000. I thought I made decent money. Last year was the most I ever made, right? I thought that we would be able to afford a house. We're not going to be able to afford a house that's almost $1 million. It's just not going to happen. So I understand people saying $2,100 is cheap. It's not cheap. It's cheaper than other places, but we are all of us are being overcharged for rent, and these houses are insanely expensive, and there's like no chance of most people ever even being able to afford to buy a house in their lifetime. That's sad.